Today I'm going to be talking about dad. Not just my dad, but your dad. All dads. On this episode of the Driving with Rob podcast. Father's Day is this Sunday, so I figured this would be a good time to talk about dad. Dads truly are the unsung heroes of society. When I was 13, 14 years old, maybe started when I was 12, I thought my dad was the dumbest man that ever lived. By the time I was 30 years old, I decided that my dad may have been the smartest man that ever lived. And it wasn't because Pop got older and wiser. It's because I got older and wiser. It was around the time that I was 12 or 13 years old that I started to refer to him as Pop. Up until then, I'd always called him Daddy. As most little kids do. That's what you teach your kids to say, Daddy. Say Daddy. Da-da-da-da-dee. Daddy. But I started calling him Pop. Because as I got older and there were more and more things that I needed to know, I started asking my dad a lot more questions as I got older. And when I would say Daddy, he would say Whatty. And when I was 12 years old, that just irritated me to no end, so I started referring to him as Pop. And I called him Pop for the rest of his life. And up until about the time I was 12 years old, Pop worked night shift in a cotton mill. It was a denim factory. So when I was growing up, Pop's hair was always full of blue lint. His clothes were covered in lint. It's one of the hazards of working in a cotton mill. And as often as not, Pop would work a 12-hour shift or maybe a double shift on Saturdays. So most of the time when I was growing up, the only time I saw Pop was maybe in the morning when I was getting ready for school. He'd come home from work. Or he was making me do something. Making me take out the trash, making me cut the grass, making me get a haircut, making me go to church. And like most 12, 13-year-old boys, you reach a point in your life where you get tired of being told what to do. And you start to rebel. So my adolescent years, 12, 13 years old, me and Pop kind of had a strained relationship. But the older I got, the more I came to appreciate the wisdom that my father had. My dad was always patient, slow to anger. Oh, he would get mad. He could get mad. But you really, really had to push him. And if he got mad, it probably was somebody else's fault. Pop didn't just get mad. Pop needed a reason. And even though, even to this day, I can be impatient, the patience that I do have, I credit to my father, that he taught me patience. And as I got older, married, started having kids of my own, more and more I began to realize the importance of fathers. And all the things that fathers teach you without actually teaching you. They teach you things like patience and being slow to anger. And your dad ends up being the model for your relationship with God. Your dad was the ultimate authority figure in the house. But he always loved you. No matter what you did, no matter what you did wrong, he still loved you. And I know that there are people that had bad fathers, maybe absent fathers, but I had a good one. Having a father at home teaches you to respect authority. It teaches you that you are not the ultimate authority, that there is somebody higher than you, someone that you need to respect. And your father didn't give you rules just because he liked making rules. And he didn't give you rules as a way to control you or as a way to lord over you. The old man gave you rules to protect you and to keep you out of trouble and to keep you from making mistakes, because he knew the mistakes that you were going to make due to lack of experience and due to the fact that you haven't lived long enough to see the bad consequences that can come from bad decisions. So he gave you rules and regulations to keep you safe and to keep you out of trouble and to keep you from making the same mistakes that either he had made or that he had seen other people make. And any punishment that he gave you was to help you remember not to do that again, and to teach you that for the rest of your life, mistakes and bad decisions have consequences. When you don't follow the rules, bad things can happen. He's doing it to protect you. But Dad taught me a lot of other things. Dad taught me how to be a mechanic, how to work on cars. He taught me how to appreciate John Wayne movies. Dad taught me how to fish. He taught me a lot of other things too, like taking care of the wife and kids, how their needs are more important than yours. And when Mom's car breaks down, or if she has a flat tire, it doesn't matter how tired you are. It doesn't matter that it's dark and 28 degrees outside. You go take care of her. And when your kids really have their heart set on something and you can't afford it, you work all the overtime you have to make sure you can get that for them. And when you're hungry, if there's only enough to feed the kids, you feed the kids. See, let me tell you some things about your dad. Your dad's not Superman, but he tries to be. Your dad loves you. He may not always show it, but he does. Your dad thinks about you every day. Your dad worries about you. Your dad doesn't care if he succeeds, as long as you do. And your dad is proud of you. And he tells other people what a great kid you are. Even if you're 50 years old, he still brags about you. And when people tell your dad how smart you are, he says he gets it from his mom. When you're out late at night, your dad can't sleep until he knows you're okay. He wants to protect you from anything that may hurt you, but he knows that sometimes he has to let you get hurt, because those are the lessons you'll remember. But your dad will be there to pick you up when you fall. When he had to discipline you or punish you when you were a child, it really did hurt him more than it hurt you. Your dad wishes he had $1 million to give you. Your dad doesn't want you to worry about him, even though he worries about you. Your dad wishes he didn't have to go to work so he could spend more time with you. But he works to give you the things that you can't get for yourself. Your dad will do things for you and say, "Don't tell Mom." Your dad loves you and cares about you. No matter how strained your relationship may be, no matter how strained it's been in the past, he still loves you. Your dad's not Superman, but he wishes he was, so that he could be Superman for you. If you're lucky enough to still have your dad, give him a call or go by and see him, because that's really all he wants for Father's Day. And that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Happy Father's Day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye now.